have no idea. It's your boy Concert Viz 34 back at home.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34.
Yep, so your boy Concert Viz 34 coming to you here.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Aria. Okay, so this is Aria, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your love for the Dave Matthews Band.
I've been a fan of the band since April 28, 1998, and if you recognize the date, that's when Before These Crowded Streets was released.
Alpine is definitely a better venue than Summerfest, but we'll take it. I think I've been going to shows for about 20-something years.
I always tell people, like, compare DMB to now to when I first started. And I got started, in my opinion, I feel like I got started late. Like, I was at the very end of the band's prime. I feel like that 03 to 06 was like the end of the prime. 07, 08 was like, you know, we're at the very end. And then when Roy passed.
But Dave really, this is the thing. Dave has put, Rashawn has been assigned the quarterback of this team. He is the coach, the play caller. He designs the jams. Dave just shows up and plays whatever he's going to play. It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Tonight's topic: new album coming soon. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. We'll find out. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to comment below after the video ends and comment in that chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's your boy Concert Viz 34, and a lot's gone on in the last week. A lot has gone on. We're going to talk about some of that today. See who's in the chat. Shout out to Greg, aka Groton27. Shout out to Shane out there in Denver, Colorado. And want to start today's stream just breaking down kind of how we got here. to this point where we now know on January 24th, 2023, there is something new that's gonna come from the Dave Matthews Band social media platforms, email, what have you. The band is giving us something new. And if this ties, which I believe it will, if it ties to an album, right? Oh, shout out to Craig out there in Wales. Good morning, everyone from Wales. I cannot wait for the new album. Tuesday is going to be interesting. Absolutely. Shout out to Craig, who's up bright and early across the pond. But people have been waiting since really the pandemic in 2020 for some new Dave Matthews Band studio material. Some people have been waiting longer than that, since after 2018 passed and Come Tomorrow kind of had its year victory lap. People wanted some new material. Some people are craving at all times new material from Mr. Dave Matthews and the band. Some people aren't. Some people are in the middle. Once it gets to a certain spot, they're craving this. But since 2020, some people got anxious in 2021. Carter and Dave by himself, there were all kind of things turning towards a new album. Rashawn Ross posted video in studio. So did some other band members over the last couple of years. And the idea was, hey, they had this pandemic, right? And a new album's coming. It's got to come out of this pandemic. Other bands who hadn't released in a long time dropped something in 2021. And some people thought, hey, maybe DMB, all right, 2020, well, we know something's not going to come out then, but maybe the band will drop something in 2021. But alas, nothing dropped in 2021. So many people were frustrated and upset. They said, hey, you guys had this whole pandemic to write and create, and we want something new. There was hopes last tour announcement that there would be something new, but there wasn't. Hey, they got the Hollywood Bowl on this tour. Maybe they'll announce it sometime during the spring or the summer, but alas, again, nothing happened. We flash forward to 2022. Same idea. Okay, 2021, come and getting your tour legs back. We're people are dissecting the talks from Carter and Dave's session, and Dave talking about working on new material, and again more Rashawn Ross behind the scenes footage from the studio. But 2022 came and went. No album in 2022.
Bruh.
People were very frustrated by this, especially on some of the social media platforms.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
It was rough for people who were craving a new album. Now we're in 2023. And now fans were kind of getting hopeless and maybe something comes out, but I got to see it to believe it. And alas, we get to yesterday, January 20th, 2021, and a teaser is revealed on Dave Matthews Band social media. Around this time, about 24 hours ago, it was revealed of a little clip from teasing what appears to be the intro of Madman's Eyes. And let's take a look at that right here. It says, excited to bring you something new in 2020, 124, 2023. Rashawn Ross reposts this, likes certain things, and again, given the limited members in social media heavily, this was again perceived as, hey, this is a sign, right? Let's center that a little bit. Right? So this is what we got. Now, before we get to talking about a potential album, a potential single, let's talk about some of the rumors that were flooding the streets of the forums from many different sources, but shout out to everyone out at antsmarching.org. That's where a lot of the information was being taken and then passed along to other spots in the DMB universe. So the 3 or 4 days ago, you start to hear some sources or people that had sources say, hey, there's going to be an announcement on Tuesday the 24th. But not only that, which had kind of been known. We talked to one of the tapers last week on this stream on a Friday, and even he knew that. Like, people kind of had known certain things, right, back last week, that hey, it's probably going to be the 24th. A week and a half ago, people were, there's some of the sources were saying the 24th, but a couple of days ago, it was, hey, there's going to be one of the first ones that kind of was picked out as gospel was, hey, there's going to be a full album sometime next week, this week, but somewhere between the 24th and the 27th, a full new album was going to be available on iTunes, right? That's what was being disseminated from a source that people trust on antsmarching.org. Now, there were other sources that also chimed in, whether directly or through somebody. And I would say the other two main sources had this idea, yes, something is coming on 124 related to the album. One was they were told it's possible that it could be the new album. It's possible, but they weren't 100% confident, as the first source to say, as gospel, a new album was coming, right? So, but then there was also a third source that said, hey, something album related is going to be discussed with this announcement next week, right? So we kind of have three sources, and there's other things here and there, other things that flooded in. But this idea, what happened was that source that said the full new album was coming out, and they were fully confident in that. When you have people thirsting for this new album to come out completely, not just a single, not just that, hey, we want this new album out as soon as possible. You had people running away with that specific source as far as in the message board. So then, because that's the best news you could hear, that the whole new album is going to be out next week, that became what really got around much quicker than, hey, just something's going to be announced. So I initially, if you look at some of my tweets, right? If you look at some of my tweets, let me pull up this. I initially trusted the first source that said, hey, a whole new album is coming out, even though I was very skeptical on this idea that DMB would just do that, just with the 1 week announcement. They're not Taylor Swift, they're not Beyonce. They have some records, but they're not at that level, right? So I initially was saying to people, hey, I know it sounds crazy, but that's what a source is saying, right? That's what a source is saying for the from the Ants forums. And other sources were saying, hey, one said, hey, it's possible. Another said, hey, just that there's going to be an announcement. So initially, if we look at some of my tweets here, right, we can find that I was kind of defending that and saying, hey, I know it sounds crazy, but this is what people are saying. And then also during this time, this idea that the name of the album was going to be Walk Around the Moon was there too, right? So even if we look at Twitter, right, I was defending, like, hey, this is what they're going to do. And one of the things I said is, because I believe DMB next week, if they dropped an album, would be number one. The reason is there's no one major is dropping, right? So you have right here, I'm replying. The only thing that matters at this point is being number one first week. Nobody is dropping of any significance in the United States on 127 or even 120. Other than that, sales come over time from the physical copy. Sources say will be available. Right? And I said the sources saying this are typically on spot, though I do believe it could happen Definitely not traditionally how they release, but the last few years have brought some unique things. What are those unique things? First and foremost, you have one of the unique things is they play the Hollywood Bowl in the first time post from 2012 to present, really in the first time the post Roy era, right? They play Hollywood Bowl, or not post Roy, post 2010. They play the Hollywood Bowl and they're not promoting an album. They showed up in 2018 and in 2012 when there was a new album to promote. So I'm like, yeah, that's not happened. There's been a lot of other different changes throughout the years. So I'm like, hey, this is what somebody is saying. I have no other leads. Now, I got some intel, and I this was on Thursday, right? I got some intel on Thursday that said, hey, a new album is coming, but it's not going to be out in its entirety on next week, the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. It's not coming out. That's what I was being told, and that's when I made this post. Let's pull up the tweet where I said, "Hey, this new album is coming, but it's not coming out this week." Most people of any sort of common sense take away an idea of a source coming out. It's not rocket science to understand how crazy it sounds for DMB to drop an album next week unannounced. It could still happen, but it doesn't make sense. This is when I posted this right here, right? I know what is posted from sources on Ants Marching, but the full DMB album being released next week, but allegedly that is not the case. An announcement plus possible single, based on what I was told, some information I got in, I was told that is a possibility of something that could happen. That we could have some sort of announcement next week. But a full album on music platforms to listen to download in some sort of digital way in its entirety, front to back, I was told nope. And that's all that I was like, I can say is those were the two things, right? That's it. Now, since then, and this is not because I posted this is because sources clarified on Ants Marching that, hey, the second and third sources, or let's just call them the second and third sources, these are reputable people that pass information along to us on Ants. They were like, well, just to specify, I've heard it's possible, but it's like, it's not 100%. So two of the three sources that were kind of, I would hold up there as first, the top three sources to look out for. Two of the three didn't have 100%. The first one just had that 100%, right? So that's where you have a kind of this tide shift. We go to Friday, right? And I made a joke. I made a joke on Instagram, and actually I have it on here. I'll play it on here. Give me one moment. I'm gonna play this. So what's funny is on Friday I made this like a little compilation short, and I put it on Instagram, just joking about how we get those fake text alerts. The last text alert we got earlier this week was, "Hey, you can get 20% off the, what is it? Was it 20% off the calendar for the 2023 calendar?"
Bruh.
So I made this joke like an hour before the official announcement. I put this up.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Right. So it's a joke, right? When announcement season and Dave Matthews Band official text alert sends a text about 20% off a calendar there. So I make that, put that on, and then literally not too long after that, we get that premiere from DMB, right? they post this thing right here, something, right? Excited to bring you something new. The joke was that the band was watching all the comments and chatter and decided to just get ahead of it and post this thing to get people excited. I don't know, right? DNB Tampa Bay, what up? Hey, if you want to come on and give your thoughts, let me know. DNB Tampa Bay, we'll get you a link. He says DNB only has 620K followers on IG. Kind of surprising. Not surprising because DNB has an older fan base. There are DNB related pages that have some followings, but IG is more for younger bands. Like most of the fan base, most of the majority of DNB fans on social media are on Facebook because it's an older fan base. You didn't have some that are on other platforms, but most of them are on Facebook. Facebook has that age range of people who listen to DNB. But IG and even TikTok. Now TikTok is a platform where you get a lot of high views. So there may be DNB related videos on TikTok that gets a lot of views, but there's not like most of the kids on TikTok aren't checking out DNB. Now, if DNB made a hit song hot again from a funny TikTok reel, they would be hot. That's what's happening on TikTok. Let's see what else you said. Just having fun today. Love Marcus trolling a bit. I think we're all ready. And we'll get to some album talk here. It's really causing a stir. And this is what they want probably. Yeah, they want people to get hyped up. The issue is there is a cap on what this band will sell. And we saw that with Come Tomorrow. Now, just to give you some insight, the idea of selling an album with a ticket does not count towards Billboard, nor does a merch bundle. So even if you have what hip hop artists were doing, because they would have a trendy piece of fashion, like a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and maybe it just looks silly to you guys or to me, but for these kids, these are like limited edition. It just says limited edition. They buy it, right? So they used to do cheat codes where either an album for a ticket sale or a merch bundle where you buy a sweatshirt, you buy a hoodie, you buy a shoe, and you get a free album. Those are not recognized. So even if DNB had put this with a pair of like a t-shirt, like let's just say you could have a DMB Hartford shirt or a DMB Deer Creek shirt. It just says DM, like just the DMB Ohio shirt for that last live tracks. If they did that, they sold those shirts, you could customize it and get a free album. That free album would not count towards the count. So we're not going to have that, meaning people are going to have to buy the straight up regular version of digitally. They can stream it, they can purchase it. If I'm hearing there's vinyl going to be available, but only if you go out and seek to buy the physical copy, buy the digital copy, or turn on your streaming app and stream it, does anything count towards the sales. Okay. That's just what it is. That's how they're doing it now. So that's going to be the challenge. If they literally gave away these albums with a ticket purchase and they still didn't cut 300K, that's going to show you the cap on this fan base of who's going to really be willing to buy it. For the first week, right? Obviously, over time, more people will buy it. So even if they promote this, have everything set up, it's got a limited window as far as what its first week is going. I still think they can go number one, whether it's released next week or whether it's released months from now, which I think that's that's what I'm going by as far as what I'm hearing. It's not going to be released next week. But even with that, I don't believe. Let's see what else other people are saying. I wonder how many, if any, Bats and Sessions songs might have been reworked in the studio. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And we're going to talk about that in a second as well. Luke says, I remember the original rumor was they were going to put out a new record in the fall of 2022. Yeah. And here's the thing. All the stuff that all the stuff that people are getting from sources, this could all change next week. Right? All this can change. We saw that happen last year with the tour announcement. Sources on Ants, which again, I believe a couple of sources there on Ants, and they have solid information. Some of those people said, okay, this is going to be the day they announced the tour. And then like a day or a day before, they're like, sorry, I'm hearing there's a change of plans to announce the summer tour. So even with the summer tour announcement, you had all these leads saying it's going to be this day. And then we hear information right before that day was going to come that, hey, it's off, it's canceled. This band changes things that, oh, this is going to, nope, gets cut, right? And that's actually the first. So let's talk about this album, right? My biggest concern, and I've stated this numerous times on this platform, my biggest concern with this new album, whether it's old or new and old, is that D&B is going to self-sabotage and leave great songs off this album, even if it's in an EP. They're going to leave great songs off this album, no matter how good it is. And if for some reason we got like those songs were to leak, like the Batson sessions, we'd be like, yo, what are you doing? Or we heard the song this summer. Oh, we love that song from this summer. And then boom, it's not on the album. There is something where Dave himself is not confident in certain songs that are amazing for studio albums. And then there are songs that he makes that to me just don't hit it right. Now, music is subjective. Some people like songs I don't really like. Some people like songs that 99% of the fan base doesn't like. There are songs I don't like that 99% of the fan base loves. Music is subjective. But to me, there's some things that are universally loved from all aspects of this fan base that get pulled off of albums. Right? Beach Ball is a great example of something that didn't make the cut, but every time it was played, people loved it. People who were at their first show, people who were diehard fans. Now, some people just don't like Beach Ball, but overwhelmingly, like, you don't hear much bad things about Beach Ball. They got cut. You have songs like Bismarck. Obviously, that is a little more, I think, like diehard fans love that. But there are also some fans that don't like it, I've heard. But like a song like Bismarck to me was pretty cool. It didn't make the album. And a song like Come Tomorrow, where, hey, someone may love that song, the lyrics are horrible. I mean, if someone can please in the comments, if you love the lyrics, how Come Tomorrow is written, not the song and it's a great idea in the song, but if someone can write an essay on why Come Tomorrow has great lyrics and it's one of the best written songs from D&B, please put it in the comment, put it in the chat or in the comments, and I'll listen. I seriously will. I think the song is trash as far as how it's written. Bang, bang, you're dead. Something about selling dope. It sounds like some horrible hugs, not drug, Ronald Reagan slogan just all throughout that song. Farmers farm and da-da-da-da. Like it's not a good song. But I'm very concerned with what is left off. I'm not a huge fan of That Girl Is You, but I understand why it was on the album. Now, I don't want a song like That Girl Is You on the next album, but I understand. But I just don't see why Come Tomorrow was on. I know it's the title track, but it was so poorly written. Right? There's so many songs that get cut off of D&B albums or don't make them at all that are they're well written. And to me, it's like, oh, well, hey, someone may say the argument is this song was not added because it didn't flow well. Well, a lot of Come Tomorrow did not flow well. Even if you love all the songs, it did not feel like a cohesive album. You had a bunch of different producers, but it didn't seem to have that flow to it. Like when I listen to Big Whiskey, and I don't even like the D&B rock sound in that album. Like it's not what I would want D&B to do, but that album flows so well. And I do actually love the album, the studio. I don't like a lot of the songs live, but that's a whole different thing. But Big Whiskey flows. It is a presentation of the band that is very well produced and put together. And it did extremely well because it was put together well. How much of Come Tomorrow's disjointedness is the fact that you lost a band member in the middle of it, or kind of right before it was about to come out? Speaking of that, Boyd did post, right? We get a new album announcement, and Boyd's like, "Happy Friday," and I hope Boyd is well. I hope Boyd is well. But yeah, that was a coincidence. But again, I do wish him well. I hope he's doing well. And but yeah, that was just funny. He's pops in right as DMB announces an album. Like, hey, what's good, fam? It's been a while since we've seen from him, but I do hope that he's enjoying whatever he's doing, music, family, whatever new passion projects, whatever. Um, DMB Tempest says, I heard the album was done in summer of 2021. There's been a lot of reports on that. I mean, obviously they sharpened it up in 2022. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk. But to me, I'm worried about the self-sabotaging. But the other thing, number two, is I've always been okay if they delay this album. Never had an issue if they delay this album. Get it right. Get it right. Even if that means, listen, I'm not saying I'm going to love every single song, but get the album right. Make it a great piece of work, right? Same example as far as Big Whiskey. I don't like You and Me. It's not for me, fam. Just got married, didn't even think about playing You and Me in my wedding. Wasn't even in the corner of my thought process. Just don't like the song, but it's a great song. I understand why it's on Big Whiskey. And it was a hit song. One of their last big. They played it on the Grammys. So if there's songs that maybe aren't my favorite, but they actually are solid and it's part of a solid, cohesive project, I'm fine with that. Right? I'm okay with that. But I want them to take their time. That's the second thing. Take your time. That's why I said if they got to re-record, they got to make some edits. Don't rush this album. And really, I honestly hope this is their last album. There's not much great songwriting that comes after this point in most bands' careers. Maybe they can prove me wrong and make 2 other great albums, but I really think, hey, walk around the moon and then just keep playing the music you have. Less is more. Did I have any DMB? Yeah, the reception. The reception we had, can't remember the songs. We didn't play the Stone. That's not no good. But we had some song. I can't think of it. Maybe I'll pop in. Am I a fan of Snow Outside? I like that song. I think in moderation. I think if it was played 30 times a tour, I'd be sick of it. The further away we've gotten from the last real Snow Outside heavy DMB 2 sets years, the more I've enjoyed it again. I think I needed that break. I don't mind Snow Outside, but there's more songs. The problem with there's so many great DMB songs. There's so many songs I put ahead of Snow Outside as far as coming back. But I do like Snow Outside. But yeah, number one, I don't want them to self-sabotage. Number two, I don't want this band to rush anything. Create quality, not quantity. That includes, I want an album that's only 45 to 50 minutes. I don't want an hour and a half out. I just don't think that. Number three, I am concerned about their new material. Now, you may say, hey, the new songs in 2021 are great. And I agree. I loved those new 2021 songs that continued into 2022. Walk Around the Moon, The Only Thing, right? Madman's Eyes is one of their best dark songs in a while. Right? Ocean and the Butterfly, which is a nice, simple song. And that's actually one of the first real simple DMB songs that I just love. I think it's great. There were some simple, basic, stripped down songs that I didn't like in Come Tomorrow, like That Girl Is You. But Ocean and the Butterfly is just a simple, fun song, and I love it. My concern is the same thing happened with Come Tomorrow. We got Black and Bluebird, Depth on the High Seas, Virginia in the Rain. right? Samurai Cop, I liked at the time. I think the more I hear it live, the less I want it live. I think it's great on the album again, but I understand like people connect to that when you have a child. I don't have a child, but yeah, Samurai Cop, I get that, but like but I didn't mind it. I'm like, if this is the one, this is my least favorite song, this next album, I'm gonna look forward to it. Even Bob Law, which became Again and Again, but then they had the bait and switch. By the time 2018 came around, they like it just went from like, oh, this is great to yo, what is the band doing? They brought back Louisiana Bayou. They actually brought back Stand Up for like a year and a half. That Girl Is You I was okay. I have a video about That Girl Is You, and I actually didn't mind the studio version, but live I was sick of it. She sounds like a throwaway grunge song from Eddie Vedder, but he's like, no, this isn't up to my quality. So here, Dave, if you want this song, take it. That's just like, to me, they went from all these great songs in 2015 and 2016 and concepts, and then they switched some of those out, and they had all these other new songs on the album that I was like, bruh, I don't know. I don't know. And I understand like maybe Death on the High Seas just wasn't gonna fit that album. And not everyone loves that song, but I liked it. Right. I understand some of that stuff. Bismarck, you could argue that there's nothing outside of the ending and like the bridge part at the end. Maybe it doesn't really pop out. Did I walk down to the aisle during the hall? No. No. And then DMB Tampa Bay says, I'm a little concerned about the band plus Mark Batson. Yeah. I understand. Obviously, Stand Up. I don't really, I'm more concerned about this. Like, the problem I have is, and I understand why people didn't like Mark Batson's production. My biggest thing is Batson and DMB made some fire songs together, and none of them made Stand Up. Now, these were also 06. They were the 06 sessions, right?
Bruh.
They were the 06. So, like, they made Stand Up, and then they went back in the studio in 06 and made much better songs. And even I like When I'm Weary, like, Batson came on to play that. So, Batson post Stand Up in 06, they made some fire songs together. But not many of them made albums. I like Idea of You did, but like they don't play Idea of You. That was the other thing about Come Tomorrow. All those great songs we got in 15 and 16, many of them went MIA. It's like they got canceled. I'm like, is there allegations? Are there allegations against Idea of You?
Bruh.
Are there allegations or like they got canceled? They're gonna cancel Black and Bluebird?
Bruh.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It was just like, what happened to these great songs they were playing in 15 and 16 that they just abandoned in 2018? Like, they hardly play them. As soon as the album came out, a lot of the great songs went away. Bob Law, aka Again and Again, I actually like that song. I love Tim's guitar playing on that clean little like kind of playing that he's playing. John Dick saying, boy charged a $250 for Cameo Violet. Is that true? I know he's on Cameo, but hey, get the bag. Because people still, anyway, I'm gonna stay off that. But yeah, I'm concerned about the new music. Like, Dave has written some great songs, but he also has some songs that, like, if he makes too many new songs, I think he's gonna run out of energy. It's just like your favorite basketball player towards the end of their career. I remember seeing Vince Carter towards the end of his career, and he was playing less minutes and he didn't dunk like he used to, but that's okay. He's still Vince Carter. But they had to regiment his minutes and not play him in back-to-backs because he was older. And I think that's what we need to do with. I know some people just went on new stuff. I just don't trust Dave. I really hope he proves me wrong and this album shuts me up. I would love for the band to be motivated. Like, oh, they saying we can't write? I bet. And then they write some fire stuff. Like, maybe that'll, like, I want this band to be on fire and in a position to prove people wrong. Not in a position where they're cutting their best songs and they're playing it safe with some bubblegum. So, and that's the other thing too. It's hard to write when everything is good. But something happened during the pandemic where Dave came out with Madman's Eyes. Right? Craig says, does anyone have a time? What I would say is around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is what I would guess. Between 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12 noon Eastern is when it's going to drop. DMB temp base is 8 to 12. Yeah, there's been some announcements as early as 8 a.m. Right? 8 a.m. There's been some at like 8 to 9 a.m. But I think they're gonna, maybe I'm gonna say 10 to 12, but I could be wrong on that. And we'll talk more about this album. I will be live whenever or I plan to be live on the 24th. We getting tour dates. Yeah, we got to get tour dates. I think we're getting tour dates next week. They're not just going to announce an album and not give us tour dates. Right. We're going to get tour dates and we'll see what happens. I haven't really talked much about the speculation because I just want the tour dates to drop, and let's talk about the tour dates. Things can change. Things could still be worked out. There's the NYC, and we'll see if that makes the cut as far as Jones Beach being switched to Forest Hill Stadium and Queens, which I think would be a good spot. We'll wait to see on that. I don't have an exact number, but I would hope that there's I would say new songs, including anything 2021 to present, the Walk Around the Moons, all those other songs. Those songs plus any song we've never heard live, I hope that is only 40% of the album, 40 to 50% of the album. Now that's extreme, right? 40 to 50% of the album be songs we've already heard. I mean, songs from 2020 to present that have been debuted. Right? That's extreme, but that's just because I don't trust Dave. It'll probably be something like maybe 25% of the songs are these classic Batson sessions or other unreleased. I would love for that to be 40 to, what did I say? I said 40. I would love for that to be 50 to 60% of the album is just old songs. That includes the stuff from Away from the World. That includes stuff that may have not, the stuff in between Away from the World and Come Tomorrow. I would hope that's 50 to 60% of the album. But again, that's just me. I understand a lot of people want new stuff. I just don't trust it. He didn't. Yeah. From all things I'm hearing, that Vegas show Labor Day is for real. And I've always said that this would, again, we'll get to more if that comes. Nashville doesn't need DMB. So DMB probably has to work out a date to get it. And I think with the West Palm Beach switcheroo, that makes sense why they would just do Nashville. So, hey, we're doing Nashville. It's a covered arena. And obviously, we also heard yesterday, Jeff Coffin was on the radio. He confirmed that it was Dave who got the C19. It was Dave. He did say that. Bad in this case is I hope you're wrong. The new stuff is not good. See, I don't mind it, and I've been very critical. I like some of the new stuff. Red Rocks this year. We'll cross that bridge. I'll just say I don't think it's likely, but we'll talk about what Denver gets. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Oh yeah, the last and John Dix was there. John in the chat was at that. He's Tennessee born and raised, and he loves all the deep cuts. And they got a bunch of cookie cutters, so it wasn't the best show out there. But they probably, I will say again, DMB does read the crowd well, so maybe they thought something, or as much as we think us diehards are. Oh, is this Brenny? This is Brendan Santry? Yeah. Shout out to Brinny. Denver is happening in the fall tour. That's what he's saying. Maybe what, Ball Arena? They got Ball Arena out there with the Avalanche and Nuggets play. See. Will your date? I don't have any dates. Don't get me in trouble with my wife. Ain't no date. You mean the tour dates?
Bruh.
Well, my date. You said. I think you had a typo, but yeah. Will your date be released Tuesday? Yeah. Easy. I think tour dates and the album announcement that is coming, like, is gonna be. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, tour dates. I think tour dates will drop here. Now, what I want to do, because again, I want to hold off a lot of this until we get a tour announcement about the new album. Let me know too what in the comments in the chats, what are the percentages you guys want. I'll read those off later at the end. As far as what percentage do you want, you could say 50% old songs, 50% new song, or 25% old songs, 25% new songs, 50% new unreleased, never 25 or 50% never heard before. So you could say new songs and new never before heard, something like that to classify. What do you guys want? I want to pull up this thing here. And I may make another, like, I will try to focus on making an intro video where I have these stats where you listen to music in the intro and you can play this back. Let's. All right. I got this. I want to go over the ticket sales and then we'll come back to some of your comments. So this is the Dave Matthews Band 2022 ticket sales data breakdown. This is some of the stats. And shout out, this is from Polestar and Billboard. And shout out, I saw some information that they were up on Ants Marching, and then I pulled up some of this stuff on Polestar. So we're going to look at a couple of things here. We're going to look at notable dates from 2022. We're going to look at some data from 2022 to 2021 and just some notable changes I saw. Obviously, there's a lot of them I didn't go over in this. Some final thoughts at the end. All right, so these are going to be superlatives or just some things here. Now, all data excludes the MSG shows and the Dayton, Ohio show at the Nutter Center, Wright State University, I believe. That information was not available. Oh ho, I said oh ho, I need to edit that. All right, so these are the venues with 100% attendance. This is tickets sold. Everything here is tickets sold. We have Austin, that's 11K or so. And that Austin is actually, that was a pretty big crowd. Like for the basketball games, I don't even think they sell that many tickets. Obviously, the basketball team's in a little trouble. You can look up why. I won't talk about that here. Huntsville, Alabama was a sellout with just over 7K, and Lake Tahoe had 75, just over 75K, which is interesting because there's no sellouts in the East Coast or even the Gorge. Well, the Gorge makes sense. Seattle was very close to selling out, but it did not sell out. Right. So those are your 100% attendance. The highest grossing show, one night standalone show was the Xfinity Center in Mansfield, Mass. $1,765,806 in tickets sold. One thing you need to know about Xfinity Center in Mansfield is the fact that that venue, oops, let me pull this back up. That venue actually has open air seats that used to be part of the lawn. So those seats that would typically be a lawn ticket price are a little more expensive. So when you combine some of those seats, they sold out 89% of the venue. But those seats that they sell from the open air, which to me are kind of, unless it's like a final tour type thing, and that's the only thing I can get for a reasonable price, there's no reason to sit in the open air seats. You might as well sit in the lawn. So that gives it a little bit of a boost with that 17,000 figure. Most of that is not the lawn. Most venues, the majority of your capacity is on the lawn. The lawn is very small because they put seats in the bottom part of the lawn. Highest grossing two-night stand is SPAC, $2,955 and $955,154 there that were grossed. This is 2 nights combined into that figure. And when you put these 2 nights in ticket sales compared to other venues, SPAC got the highest gross. SPAC also has a very, very small pavilion. It's about 5,000 seats, but those seats are all at pretty high prices. The lowest ticket in the pavilion is more expensive than most venues mid pavilion because they're very good seats. And also the lawns do well as far as people sit on the lawn and they can't even see the band itself. They're looking at a screen. It's like a closed circuit television boxing like area where you could buy tickets back in the day to a ball or like a room in the casino, like an open ballroom in the casino, and watch the fight next to the arena. That's what I attribute to the SPAC lawn. And the highest grossing weekend obviously is going to be the Gorge, 4,216,896 right there. 80% of the tickets sold in 3 shows. Now we're going to look at 2021 versus 2022 data. So for Mansfield, Mass, they made more money. And here's where you can see where ticket prices jump. They made more money in 2022, but there's about 2,000 less seats that were sold, or 2,000 less tickets that were sold. So you can see why, hey, if you're not going to show up, we don't care. We're making more money, right? Just over $1 million more in 2022 versus 2021. Homedale, New Jersey, all right, same story. About 2,000 less in tickets sold, but they get just slightly more for this show that had the first shotgun opener ever. Jones Beach, New York, or Wantagh, New York, where Jones Beach, what is it called now? Something that at Jones, whatever. They change it. It's not Nikon anymore. It's whatever. Anyway, they actually sold more tickets in 2022 than in 2021, and they made more money. This is kind of one of the exceptions for the entire tour when you look at venues booked for both years, 21 and 22, right? So they actually did make more money and they sold more tickets. It was close to selling out. West Palm Beach, same thing. Less tickets sold, more money made. Now, you got to keep in mind, too, with this, even with Dave getting the 19, I'll call it, even with that, a lot of these tickets were sold before the shows got postponed. And the show was postponed the morning of night 1. So you can't say that this is because Dave got the 19. People were buying tickets up until then. And then if you could make the rescheduled date, if you had something Memorial Day weekend with the family, or you're remembering the fallen soldiers, and you're like, I can't go to West Palm Beach, and then they move it to the summer, you already sold a certain amount of tickets. Even if people couldn't sell their tickets, it was already done. So they still had about between 2,000 to 3,000 less seats sold, but they made more money. Look at that, 1940 and 2352, 206. Like, look at that. So that goes to show you they don't care if there's less people showing up. They're going to make more money per seat. And think about that too with the venues in general. I'm not saying D&B gets the liquor sales, but think about the food and the liquor and all that stuff that has gone up. So less people can show up, but you're going to make more money. SPAC. Look at this. Again, about 2,000 or so less, just eyeballing that. And you have more money made in 2022. And we'll get to SPAC at the end because some changes were made to SPAC that may impact why there were less tickets sold. But both of these nights were not sellouts. Okay. Deer Creek, we had the number 41,000 plus for 2021. 2022, they had less, but the price, they actually made less money. One thing to understand about Deer Creek is this drop in attendance is from the lawn. And one thing I got to say, my first time going to Deer Creek, that lawn was the earliest showing up lawn that I've seen probably in the history of now, I would say SPAC, but SPAC is hard to tell because SPAC really isn't a lawn. It's a little bit of grass, and then you're like literally sitting on the concourse. It's hard to tell. With Deer Creek, it's for the big lawns across the country. This was the lawn that everyone was really there before the show started. The people still filed in, but you look over to the lawn, right, like before the band's even on stage, and it's full. And I really respected that about Deer Creek. It showed you the type of fan. So the reason they lost money is because the ticket sales were based on the lawn. The pavilion was full and pretty much sold out. Maybe a couple platinum seats didn't sell, but like that's what you can count those on your hand. I was at the back of the pavilion looking down. I went to go see some taper friends before, and that all that stuff in the mid pavilion and upper pavilion were filled in. The pit was very full. So that shows you what didn't sell, the lawn seats. So you have 38 to 41. All right, this one's going to be Chi-Town versus Alpine, and I'm going to show you. This may be a shocker to some people. It may not be a shocker. But Chicago over 2 days. These are both 2-night stands. Chicago did 35,122 for the actual tickets sold. Alpine did 33,922. Now, ticket prices did go up a little bit in 2022, but this is why they go to Chicago every other year. You may say, listen, the venue is in a great location. I've actually been right by it when I was in Chicago last year. I didn't go to it because there was no show, but it's in a great location of the city, but it's a temporary setup. And the reason it's a temporary setup is because there's a clause where you can't have something permanent there. So that's why it's temporary stands. So the lawn there and the rise are pretty bad. If you're not in the pit, just don't go unless you're tall. But the point is, they still sold 35,122 tickets over 2 nights. That's more than Alpine generated, and Alpine is every other year. So for someone like me, I intentionally did not go to Chicago last year, but 2 years ago when Chicago and Milwaukee were the dates, I actually love Milwaukee because I went there during my vacation in between Alpine and Deer Creek. But I literally went to Chicago in 2022, flew into Chicago, then drove to Deer Creek, drove back to Chicago, did Milwaukee, Green Bay, and then drove to Alpine because I knew I wanted to catch Alpine. I wanted to see this historic venue. R.I.P. Stevie Ray Vaughan, who's one of my favorite blues players. Just a legend, and that's a place where he passed leaving in a helicopter. But I wanted to see the history. There's so many the Grateful Dead, Jimmy Buffett, all these great legends have played Alpine over the years. I wanted to go see DMB, and less people came, but they made more money. They made more money because the pavilion has a lot of seats, and when those prices go up, they make it out. The lawn sold. My guess is the lawn sold less. Fiddler's Green. This is our West Coast bestseller. Really percentage sold. This is typically the one out west that has the highest percentage sold. And Fiddler's Green, it's in Colorado, just in the Denver metro, 33,473 in 21, 30,508 in 22. Again, more money made, less tickets sold. And this is, it's going to happen, but it did still sell extremely well to get 30,000 over 2 nights, given the size of that. It's about 15 a night. And it's in that 2,400 mark for a million, or 2.4 million mark. Gorge here. Here's what's crazy. The Gorge had the alternate format. Now people have prepared this. This makes sense because this was the first Gorge year after the pandemic. I actually was like, should I go to the Gorge? And in 2020, I was like, I'm gonna regret not going to see the Flecktones. But I just went in 2019, and I want to go to some new places in 2020. And the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, you think about how precious life is, how precious it is to just go outside and see a concert. So I said, listen, I'm going to the Gorge again. So I went to the Gorge in 21, alternate format. In 22, less people went, even though some people went to I feel bad, they went to their first Gorge in 21 and they didn't see the full band. They saw parts and splits, although that was still an amazing weekend, but you want to see that full band. So I'm sure some people returned, but other people didn't, clearly because 53 to 56. But again, more money was made for the Gorge. So for notable changes, Alpine and SPAC had some viewing decks. I'm actually taking a picture from one of those viewing decks here. This is a picture from there. And these were previously just open lawn areas. And it took space from the overall lawn sale. That's just a notable change. I don't think that impacted the sales that much because they just sold less tickets. There was still space at the back of the lawns. And there was actually special viewing deck tickets, which that's how they also made more money for Alpine. For SPAC, they had VIP decks. You can't see the band from those decks, but they added some VIP decks. I was actually able to go into the VIP spot for night 2 of SPAC. And it's nice. It's nice to have. It's a little bit of it's a walk, but there's a walk anywhere to leave SPAC from the balcony. It takes a while to get around SPAC sometimes, especially because people, it's just the way it's set up. It's a smaller type of setup, and to get through and mosey through, it can be hard, especially if you're in the middle of the lawn. But I was in the balcony anyway. Ticket prices were much more dynamic to the venue to venue, and in some cases, lower demand locations like Texas. The Texas shows had higher price points than SPAC. Or not SPAC, than Hartford. Sorry. That was something that was interesting. So you get a little bit more revenue in the Woodlands and Cynthia Woods, right? Also of note were the overall cost to travel. The same cost to fly from Hartford to Seattle in 2021 was the same ballpark for me to fly to Chicago to the Deer Creek Alpine kind of back-to-back weekends. Rental and hotels costs also went up, and they continue to climb in 2022. And even in 2023, we're going to still see some prices that are expensive depending on where you're flying from, right? So that's just some of the stuff here going on. Final thoughts. Shout out to all these tapered. It's me, Thomas, and then the 2 tapers, Zach and Mark. So if you want tickets to a show, waiting it out really paid off in 2022. The initial hype and anxiety was still high when tickets went on sale. However, outside of the few venues, plenty of tickets. There really were plenty of tickets. And most venues saw a decline in sales in 2022, and much of that seemed to be for the lawn and upper level seats, to my estimation. Going to venues, talking to people, getting pictures from the venues. As ticket prices rise, casual fans and diehards alike are slowly cutting back on the worst seats and investing heavily into closer seats. People are getting too old for the lawn. Yes, look at that crew. So that's the was it the thank you slide? Yeah, thank you. Shout out to your boy Conservation34. Twitter, IG, hit me up. So yeah, just a basic thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And I'll have, so like I said, I'll have some more information available. If you go on to Twitter, I have a thread. Let me see if I can go to my bookmarks. The other one, the one I didn't put in here, is Hartford to Mohegan. But I had that as well. think I had it somewhere. Oh, actually, I may have not. But I'll post this stuff. But there is a Hartford to Mohegan where we'll get that up at some point. We'll get you these numbers. Just stay tuned. And I'm gonna say, let me also set up our outro video. But thank you guys for tuning in. Let me take a look at some of these comments. 80% of the songs, shelf crashes, satellite. This would be ideal. One thing I give DMB credit for, though, is most times they only play about 3 to 4 new songs a night. Looking at the Come Tomorrow data, 3 or 4 songs from that album once it came out. Sometimes you got a little higher than that. I think what hurts these album release years is like last year, although I didn't get Shotgun, but when there's a non-touring album year, when you go to Alpine, Deer Creek, SPAC, The Gorge, they're not going to be throwing out one album nonstop at you. So you're going to get 2 to 3 songs that would be like a special deep cut. It's just going to be, now you're going to get a new album cut. That's why the album needs to be good, but it still takes away from the classics. One of the best things DMB does in this current era is they take certain classics and make them a little bit re-energized. Yes, there's nothing like Leroy Moore, but they re-energize certain songs and they give it new energy. And the songs post Roy, like a Sweet, like a If Only outro, like the Mercy remix that the Mercy with Buddy in Europe, like it was amazing. So the songs post Roy that never had Roy, that they remix and have made better, I've loved that. They have already shelved Crash for the most part. They actually did have a lot of drive-in, drive-out last year, and they just don't play certain songs from Crash in general, but they've never played some of those songs like Let You Down. They just don't play them that much, like period. What is he saying? He's not trying anymore. Stats Schmatz. I grew up loving these guys. I play acoustic. He's not trying anymore. Saying Dave's not putting to work. Release version was, it was okay. I just like, I would rather Idea of You have been played in the last couple of years more than some of the other stuff like She. That's the other thing too, is again, there's different things. Your studio version, I don't really care as much about the studio versions of songs. I just want to know how it's going to impact the rotation. But SPAC went other way around. So Alex skipped night 1, Pitt night 2. What about Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida? Let's pull that up here. I got him on a Word document. Daly's Place. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's zoom in. Okay, so you guys can see this. This is the master list that I had. Daly's Place. It did 1.2 million and 10,000. So there's Daly's Place right there. 10,000 seats over 2 nights. 97.7%. That's pretty much a sellout. What is it? Jacob says, anyone else think there's a sax violin? Sax T's in the video almost had an echo of Leroy in it. Gave me that vibe. I think when Jeff plays certain things, it can sound more like Leroy than other, like some things Jeff plays, it sounds like Jeff. Other things Jeff plays can sound like Leroy a look for like a couple of seconds, or in the spirit of it. They're both different sax players. Roy used his, I was a woodwind player for years, clarinet, but Roy used his diaphragm right by that belly and just used that to really plow through. Jeff has a lot of short bursts, right? Leroy uses his bike on a gear that you have to really pump your legs. Jeff uses Jeff uses a uphill gear where you really just can. It's easier to use your cycle around, and you hear a lot of more pops. I prefer Roy over Jeff. The style that Roy and Branford Marsalis have over Jeff, but I appreciate Jeff Coffin immensely for what he's meant for the band. I think he's a talented sax player. I just prefer that soulful playing of Roy. I think most people do, right? That listen to DMB. And I think Jeff Coffin shines better in his snarky puppy stuff, his obviously the fleck tones, but I appreciate that he's decided to give his talents to the Dave Matthews Band. But stay tuned. Like I said, we'll talk more about this album as we get some more information, as we get the single, as we get more things. Again, I would think a single's coming Tuesday, but I again, no one knows. I have certain people have told me information. Many times I don't get information. And if you want to tell me information, let me, hit your boy up. ConcertViz34. You can DM me on Instagram or Twitter. And shout out again to Ants March and some of the other forums. Shout out to Andy Mendoza. I played one of his videos at the beginning. YouTube, just Andy Mendoza, ANDYMENDOZA. I wonder if the venue we shall not name did. Oh, let's see. Let's take a look. Actually, I'll look later because I didn't put those head to head. But I think we can. I think we have the information from that venue. I can send it to you later, Greg. All right, that's it, man. Like, not much more I can talk about, unless you guys want to hear about my life. That's personal anecdotes. Just let me know. I'll add that to the Patreon. I'm just playing. Stay tuned. Tuesday, I will have some. Something. We'll have something to talk about, unless they change their mind. Again, it's this band, and listen, if they want, I think they're going to announce something. But this band, crazier things have happened with this band to delay and postpone, and that's their right. Sometimes you want to pull back, and I actually would rather them, if there's any hesitation, even if a single comes out and they want to readjust some things some more, get it right. I don't care if we have to wait until 2024. I really don't. I would rather have this thing really reach as much of the fan base as possible. And I think one of the interesting things is I talk DMB and I criticize things and I like certain things. This band brings such an interesting cross section of people. And there's to me, the highest highs of my favorite stuff are super high. Some of the stuff I really don't like is extremely like, I don't want that. And there's bands I like where some of the stuff I don't like is like, I just don't think it's my cup of tea, but I can go through it. But like the highs in other bands that I like don't get as high as DMB. And some of them are actually just more legendary acts, but it's just still, there's nothing like being able to experience this band. And one thing I do love is the song Walk Around the Moon. So we're going to close out on that. And that is the alleged title of this album that'll be coming out allegedly in 2022 is Walk Around the Moon. So thank you guys for watching. It's your boy ConcertViz34. Hit that like button, subscribe, stay tuned. Tuesday, if you're watching the replay, you can put some information in the comments. What did you think? What do you want the split of the new songs? What songs do you want? There is an alleged track listing. I'm not going to post it because I don't know how true it is. Now, it could be true, but let's wait. And if you want more information, antsmarching.org has a lot of great sources and commentary. There's a new album coming soon, thread on there. So check that out. And there's a lot of great information there. So shout out again to antsmarching.org. Walk Around the Moon. I'm ending this show for real this time. Peace.
Sometimes that makes it taste even better.
Shadows in her hand. She said, you take me